صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. قال الله عز وجل في القرآن الكريم وقوله الحق وهو أصدق الصادقين وأحسن القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل إن أصبح ماؤكم غورا فمن يأتيكم بماء معين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Perception is arguably more effective and more imperative than that which you perceive. Because you and I know very well, the more we live, the more we move on, and the more we carry on with things in this temporary existence. We know that you perceive that which you see, and it's not that which you perceive that indeed has the true effect on you. This culture of ours, this worldview of ours, this perception of ours, this paradigmatic influence of how we see things in our lives, and the paradigmaticism all has an unbelievable effect on how we live our lives. You see that the Jew sees this world in one way. The Muslim sees this world in another way. And you can come and argue that the world has become a victim of perception. Everybody argues that his perception is on point. كُلُّ حِزْبٍ بِمَا لَدَيْهِمْ فَرِحِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, every party is satisfied with that which they think is right. Yes. And then you can realize that all of them are essentially saying the same thing. That's the biggest tragedy. One is telling you, don't wear a jacket when it's hot, and another is telling you, wear a jacket when it's cold. Yes? One comes and says, let's go and buy grapes. He says the word grape in Turkish. One says, let's buy grapes. He says the word grapes in Arabic. One says, let's buy grapes. He says the word grapes in Urdu. And everybody wants the same thing. Everybody thinks they want something else. And at the end of the day, we get nowhere. And we go in circles, and then we die. And we live like the cattle and the sheep and the orangutans. Anyways, therefore you come and you realize that perception has an unbelievable effect on how we live our lives. And that's why today we want to see exactly what is the paradigmatic role of Arbaeen in the religion of Islam. When you say paradigmatic, the word paradigm is a heavy and loaded word. However, you realize that this Arbaeen, which we come year after year, day in, day out, to remember Imam al-Hussain. Some have the effort, and some have the energy, and some have the divine success or tawfiq to go to Karbala and to walk from Najaf to Karbala. One man I saw on Facebook, he was interviewed, he says, I'm going from where? I'm going from Kuwait to Karbala. 80-plus-year-old man walking from Kuwait to Karbala. Others go from Basra. If you know anything about Basra, 2-week walk. You see a man, 6 years old, he can barely hold his back straight. These kinds of people realize that Arbaeen is a paradigm. Arbaeen has an influence in our lives. Arbaeen has a position and an imperative role in our existence. It's not just simply a cultural entity or a cultural aspect or a cultural dimension of our existence. No, it's a paradigmatic entity. There's a paradigmaticism to Arbaeen. There's an archetype nature. There's a prototype nature. There's an origin to Arbaeen. Therefore, you need to come and you realize this Arbaeen, what exactly is this discussion of it being a paradigm? Yes? Why do we need to look at such a thing? Because number one, yes, unfortunately, our cultures and our personal views have become stronger of a paradigm in our existence than our religion and our faith. You see, many people, he'll tell you my culture before my religion. Now, of course, not many people, you might have a few here and there who have such audacity and have such, indeed, ignorance to say such a statement that indeed, yes, it is my culture that comes before. However, many people, they demonstrate it and, as one would say, execute it through what? Through their day-to-day actions, yes? And therefore, you notice that's the first reason we should look at such a discussion. The second reason is because we have failed as a Muslim community to introduce our jewels to the world. There is no discussion, and the enemy knows it better than you and I, that we have the best content as Muslims. There's no discussion about it. The discussion isn't whether we have the best religion or not. The discussion now becomes a discussion of marketing. Who has become the best marketer? Yes. Judaism, Christianity have become what? Have become champions and vanguards of what? Not of content, not of truth, not of reality, of marketing. Yes? Marketing. He marketed his material properly. Yes? You find there is no way you'll find a Jew who exposes another Jew. No. He'll be the first one to put a bandage on his scar. Go and look at who is the first person to, for example, speak ill of a Muslim. Who's the first person to try to bring down a Muslim who's, for once, smelling the scent of success? Is a Muslim. Yes. Envy, arrogance, greed, people can handle it. Yes. And therefore you'll notice that indeed we have failed as a Muslim ummah to give our content to the world. We have failed as a Muslim community to look between the lines, whereas we are the religion of what? We are the religion of insight. We are the religion of perception. We are the religion of content. We're the religion of philosophy. And that's why the West has realized we are advanced in technology. We're advanced in, for example, material. We're advanced in cars and in computers and in iPhones and the BlackBerry and the Blueberry and the Banana Berry. We're advanced in all of these kinds of things. However, we lack in heritage. We lack in culture. What's American culture? Or even Canadian culture? There's no richness to it. Yes, what do you have? Tim Hortons here. They have great donuts. Other than that, what else do you have? You have heritage. When it comes to heritage, there's no discussion of heritage when it comes to the West. There's no discussion of richness when it comes to. There's a discussion of technology. Yes. Hence, they what? They occupied our lands. And I'll be the first one to tell you if you haven't heard it. They didn't enter Iraq because of the materialistic minerals. It was because of the ethical minerals that Iraq had. You're stepping on Iraq, you're stepping on civilization. You're stepping on ancient history. 70,000 prophets buried in the land of Iraq. You're telling me it's a coincidence they just went for our oil? There's oil anywhere else. No, yes, oil is one level. However, the richness of not the oil of Iraq, the richness of the heritage of Iraq, the richness of the cradle of civilization, that is Iraq. Ibrahim, Nuh, Adam, all Salih, all what? Vanguards of prophethood, who are universal characters in every religion in Iraq. Adam is in Iraq. Ibrahim in Iraq. So therefore they went into such lands. Don't let me even get into Mesopotamia and Babylon and Ur and so on and so forth. Yes, where was the first bicycle made, the first clock, the first constitution? Yes, all of this is Iraq, and the greatest aspect of Iraq is that I'm from there. But that's a different discussion. However, therefore, what do you notice? You notice that there are many important. Therefore, we have failed as a ummah. This is nothing to be argued upon. And that's why we seek to look at today's analysis in the following 4 or 5 dimensions. Number one, what is the whole discussion of a paradigm, and what does the paradigm discussion entail? Number two, what is this discussion of indeed the projection of the paradigm discussion onto Karbala? Once you apply it, what happens? Number three, what indeed is the principle of this, the most essential principle of this paradigm? And number four, what was the proposition of Imam Al-Hussain alayhi salam that he left behind for us, and which is arguably the most important, legacy of Imam Al-Hussain alayhi salam. Therefore, let's look at the following discussion in the following stages and see exactly where we are taken. Number one, the discussion of a paradigm. What is a paradigm? A paradigm is a set of beliefs. It's a set of shared or common beliefs which constitutes the way in which a human being perceives something. You will see, for example, at one point the paradigm was what? The paradigm was that the sun was the center of the universe. It changed. They realized that no, this was a paradigm. Or for example, they changed it to the earth being the center of the universe. This is a paradigm. Any common or set law which is prevalent in society is a paradigm. Worldview, perception, these are considered as what? Paradigms. Now this word paradigm, who came forward with it? It was none other than Thomas Kuhn. In the 1900s, of course, when he wrote this paradigm, he came forward with another term which is typically referred to as paradigm shift. A paradigm shift is when you have a revolutionary incident that takes place, where a shift now takes place from one established, hardwired paradigm to another paradigm. This is rare, but it happens. And when it happens, hell breaks loose. Common beliefs are shattered, and they become what? They become nonsensical at that point. And now, for anyone to come and tell you that the earth is or the sun is at the center is laughed at. Yes, this happens when what? When a new belief is brought forward, when a new invention is brought forward, a paradigm shift, where now the way in which we perceive things shifts completely to a completely different worldview, to a completely different world. This is the discussion of paradigm shift. However, there's a problem here. What's the problem? The problem is that there is a threat to a paradigm shift, because when a paradigm shift takes place, for the most part, it's from a lower level to a higher level. It's from a negative to a positive. It's from a mediocre to a good, from a good to an excellent, from an excellent to a superb, from a superb to an absolute, from absolute to infallible. Paradigm shift, for example, took place when the Prophet entered Mecca. Paradigm shift. Hey guys, you can't bury your females alive anymore. It doesn't take place in Islam. It's not acceptable. وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. I'm going to stand up when Fatima enters the room. This is a paradigm shift. People were shocked. When Fatima a.s. was born, companions of the Holy Prophet Islam frowned. They were sad. Rasulullah tells them, why are you sad? They tell me, Ya Rasulullah, you've just given birth to a female. He would say, what's wrong with a female? This is a blessing from Allah, and its sustenance is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This kind of a discussion, what do you realize? You realize that Rasulullah had intended to provide a paradigm shift. Or for example, what happened in 79? This was a paradigm shift. From, for example, a monarchy to an Islamic government. This was an unbelievable paradigm shift. Other paradigm shifts, for example, you realize you have on the flip side, from a positive to a negative. When a ruler enters into power, he completely changes things. You realize, for example, when Abdul Karim Qasim, prior president of Iraq, before Saddam was killed, Saddam comes into power. Paradigm shift. This is from the flip side. You find, for example, Fir'aun. Fir'aun told them, I'm God. Ana rabbukum al-a'la. This was another paradigm shift. However, there's a problem here. There's a threat. Because paradigm shifts are so absolute, and don't expect them to happen so easily. No, it takes time, it takes delay, it takes duration. However, there's a threat which is referred to as paradigm paralysis. Paradigm paralysis, what happens at this level? At this level, once you have been previously established into a paradigm, you are so hardwired into it that anything that doesn't fit within that paradigm doesn't make sense to you, even if it's factual. Even if it's factual. Even if it makes sense. Even if the proof and indeed the data comes and says that this is the case, then paradigm paralysis prevents you from seeing it. You come and you tell a person, listen, by the way, what you're doing in your culture is absolutely wrong. هَذَا مَا وَجَدْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَنَا. When you come to them and you tell them, this is what you're doing is wrong, what do they reply? هَذَا مَا وَجَدْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَنَا. Allah says, أَوَلَوْ كَانَ آبَاءُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَهْتَدُونَ. But wasn't it the case that their fathers knew nothing and they knew nothing of guidance? When you come and you tell him you're wrong, what does he say? Yes? إنما نحن مصلحون ألا أنهم هم المفسدون حقا ولكن لا يعلمون. You come and you tell me you're wrong. I'm wrong. I'm bringing islah to the community. I'm bringing reformation. You have one person who commits wrong. And when you tell him what you're doing is wrong, he goes back home and he does his homework and he changes A to B and B to C and C to D. He changes things all over again. Because he has a humility to change. You have another person who's wrong and he knows he's wrong, but he's convinced himself that he's not wrong. This is what you call compound ignorance. Layer upon layer. It becomes hardwired within the human being, yes? It becomes something which you become that error. You become that and you live it and you die and you live to protect it. You die and you live to what? You're wrong, but he defends it. There's some people who are happy. Umar ibn Sa'ad, he came to Yazid. He put out his hands after he beheaded Imam al-Hussain. He said, إملأ ركابي فضة أو ذهبا فإني قتلت السيد المهذبا قتلت خير الناس أما وأبا. Unbelievable words. He says, fill my hands with silver or gold. I killed the respectable saint. I killed the best of people from father and mother. I'm wrong, but give me. مهذبا Sayyid al-Muhaddaba. I killed the great saint. Yet fill my hands. Yes. And that's why they say Umar ibn Sa'ad, when Zainab alayhi salam was near the body of Imam al-Hussain, in his last moments, she would tell him, oh Umar, you leave the grandson of your prophet in such a fashion, without giving him water. It is said Umar cried. A hadith come and say Umar started to cry. Therefore you'll notice this paradigm paralysis, what does it do? Even if the data comes and says otherwise, I have paradigm paralysis. I can't see otherwise. This is what I grew up upon. But you were wrong. Sorry, man. That's how it happens. That's how it's going to continue to happen. And we're going to die to do it this way. And this is what? This is when insan becomes his oppressor. Saddam isn't oppressing him. Yes, no one is oppressing him. He's oppressing himself. Allah says, وَمَا ظَلَمْنَاهُمْ بَلْ كَانُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ يَظْلِمُونَ. We didn't oppress them. They oppressed themselves. You did it to yourself. Yawm al-Qiyamah, tell yourself, you did it. Yes, you did it. No one else. And that's why you'll notice that indeed this discussion of a paradigm, these terms are essential to take on board to understand the upcoming nights. That's why, number one, what's this discussion of a paradigm? That's exactly what it entails. Number two, apply it to Karbala and apply it to Arbaeen. When you do this discussion of a projection, how do such terms project on Karbala and on the discussion of Arbaeen? Where does Arbaeen fall in this paradigm discussion? You find number one, when you speak of a paradigm, you realize that Arbaeen had an unbelievable paradigmatic presence in Islamic literature, which many of us might have bypassed. Ahlul Bayt went from where? Imam Hussain is killed on the 10th of Muharram. They stay there the night. Following night, arguably, or second, 12th, 13th night, they go where? They're taken where? To Kufa. From Kufa, they go to Sham. They stay in each of these locations for a certain duration, and in each of them, there's a story to be told. In Sham, we know what happened in Sham. We'll mention in Musibah today some of Sham. From Sham, Yazid then appoints indeed, leader of the caravan to take them back. They reach a dichotomy. They reach this area where indeed the leader of the caravan tells them, you can now go to Medina or you can go to Karbala. Do you want us to pass by Karbala? Imam Zainul Abidin says yes. Now this is quite important because when Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, or in other words, when Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam came and said that, yes, Mur bina ala Karbala, take us to Karbala, this has an essential and very important discussion to it. Why is that? Because this completed the circle. You see, they could have easily said, no, don't take us back. And typically, when you've been through difficult times in life, you do as much as you can to bypass it. For example, if you went through a bad relationship, you delete the number and you erase the pictures, yes? You don't want to go back. It's too much. Or for example, if you had a bad relationship with a friend and things went bad, you delete numbers, you bypass it. Imam Zain al-Abidin did something very interesting. Now Imam Hussain al-Abidin didn't lose a wife, Imam Zain al-Abidin didn't lose a friend. He lost his father, and his father wasn't only lost, his father was beheaded, his head was cut off. And it was held and his body was trampled. And Imam Zain al-Abidin was in the tents hearing the ribs crushing. Yes? Zainab tells him, what's that sound? I hear glass breaking. Is there glass being broken? No. They remove the tent, they see the chest of Hussein being flipped left and right, being played like a soccer ball. They come, Imam Zain al-Abidin says, let us go back to Karbala. There's something unbelievably essential to this discussion. When Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, when Imam Zain al-Abidin said, take me back to such lands, the circle at this level is being completed. It's an unbelievable discussion. Imam Zain al-Abidin says, take me back to Karbala. Why? Because he wants that circle to be completed. I'm not going to bypass the scar. Look at the paradigmatic presence here. I'm not going to bypass the scar. That's weakness. No. I'm going to put pictures of my beheaded father in my house to remind me of what happened. It's a paradigm shift. It makes no sense at all. I went through a difficult time. Am I going to forget it? Am I going to delete those messages? Am I going to delete that picture? Am I going to forget what happened? No. I'm going to remember it and recall it and relive it every single day of my life. That 40 years Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam eats with his food mixed with his tears. Imam is ma'soom. Imam is protected from emotions and sentiments. He doesn't have to do that. But he's making a paradigmatic point. Look at the paradigmaticism to the actions of Imam al-Sajjad. He's saying, I'm going to cry about Imam al-Hussein for 40 years. They come to him, they tell him, Mawlaya ibn Rasulullah, enough crying. أَلَيْسَ الْمَوْتُ لَكُمْ عَادَةٌ وَكَرَامَتُكُمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ الشَّهَادَةِ. He says, is death, hasn't it become a norm for you? Isn't your dignity found in martyrdom? Enough crying, Ibn Rasulullah. No. Have you ever seen 18 family members of Bani Hashim severed in one day? He tells them, thank you so much. For example, Abu Hamza al-Thimali, so on and so forth. He tells them, thank you. But have you ever seen such nonsense? Such ajaib, such wonders of this world? People speak of the 7 wonders. The greatest wonder was that Zainab was taken as a prisoner of war. Wow. That's brain-boggling. Daughter of Amir al-Mu'mineen in Medina, her shadow wasn't seen. Hassan on one side, Ali on one side, Abu al-Fadl on one side, Imam Hussein on one side. The shadow of Zainab wasn't seen. Some say her scarf was ripped off. Wow. Some say the hands of foreigners laid on the cheeks of Zainab, slapping the blessed cheeks of Zainab salamullahi alayha. Here, what was the Imam making? A point. He was saying this circle must be completed. Arbaeen, brothers and sisters, is nothing else but this paradigm right here. The circle must be completed. Were Imam al-Sajjad to not go back to Karbala and that circle not to be completed, then what would have happened? What would have happened? The rotation of goodness in its entirety would have stopped. That rotation of the Imam, it was a rotation. Karbala, Kufa, Sham, back to Karbala. Why? Continue moving on. Some will say, forget what happened in the past. The past is in the past. Imam Sajjad relives the past. He goes through it. Some say, I'll become depressed. I need to forget. This forgetfulness is a blessing from Allah, and there's a reality to that. But you come and you tell him that's not the case. Relive it. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam continues the circle of Arbaeen to continue the circle of life, to continue the circle of morality, to continue the circle of God, to continue the circle of goodness, to continue the circle of anything that tends to make sense in our lives. Any sense of morality would have stopped were that circle to have stopped by Imam al-Sajjad. Imam al-Sajjad continued the circle. He was setting a paradigm. Relive the scar. Kill the dragon. You know, when you go and you get the princess, what do you tell the dragon? Assalamu alaikum Hajji dragon. How's it going? Everything's cool? I just need to go get my princess real quick and we'll get back to business. You can stay here. Keep flapping your wings and blowing the fire. But I need to go get my princess. Here you go, for example, a couple of shillings. Yes, here you go, a couple of shillings. Yes, take it for you. And inshallah, I'll go get my... No. You have to slay the dragon. You have to kill it. You know how many people in their lives, they live entire lives, 6 years old, 7 years old. He lives his life bypassing the dragon. What's wrong with you? What's your problem? You okay? Kill the dragon. Kill it. Look it in the eyes. Are you weak? Look at the dragon and kill him. Is the dragon strong? If the dragon is stronger than you, that's your problem. However, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, if you're scared of something, do it. These are the words of Mawla. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says, if you're scared of something, do it. It's a flip paradigm shift. No, when I'm scared of something, I don't do it. I bypass it. I have nothing to do with it. I don't relive it. No. If you're scared of it, do it. Isn't that crazy stuff? Or for example, Imam, I believe Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, if you're poor, give charity. Flip stuff. Doesn't make sense. If you're poor, give. Imam, no. When I'm poor, I go to the bank. When I'm poor, I ask my mother. No. When you're poor, give. إِذَا أَمْلَقْتُمْ فَتَاجِرُوا مَعَ اللَّهِ بِالصَّدَقَةِ. If you're poor, then give to Allah with charity. Doesn't make sense. But that's what Imam Sajjad is telling you. Kill the dragon. Relive the scar. Don't bypass it. Don't bypass it. Relive it. Imam alayhi salam continues that circle of Arbaeen. He continues it because he knows that if that circle is to stop, then the circle of goodness would stop rotating. The circle of morality would stop rotating. Yes. This circle, keep it in your mind from today and the upcoming nights that I've been blessed to be with you. This circle, keep it in mind. This circle doesn't stop rotating. It's still rotating. Now tell me, who's going to keep the circle going? Imam Mahdi. Why does he go to Karbala? I'm telling you, this is a common thing. Imam Mahdi goes back to Karbala. Don't go back to Karbala. It's tough. On one level, you're saying, I'm going to cry for you day and night, and I'm going to cry besides tears, blood. On another level, you're going there. Doesn't make sense. It's like saying, man, when I go to that person's house, I feel so much pain. But he's there every day. When I'm with this guy, I just feel so sad. He's with him every day. Doesn't make sense. Imam Mahdi alayhi salam will go. Not only is he going to go, he's going to open the shrine, speak about killing the dragon, speak about reliving the scar. He's going to enter the shrine. Not only is he going to enter the shrine, he's going to hold Ali al-Asghar to the sky and he's going to say, Allahumma ma dhanbu hadha at-tiflu ar-radhi'. Oh Allah, what's the guilt of this 6-month-old baby? Reliving it. The circle can't stop. And that's why this is indeed the paradigm. Now, how about when you speak of the discussion of paradigm shift? The paradigm shift was as following: from stagnation to continuity. When you speak of the discussion of the sun and the moon, or for example, in science you have microbes and certain revolutionary concepts that were introduced that presented paradigm shifts, you realize that Imam alayhi salam, yes, the paradigm of Arbaeen, number one, we established the circle. Keep that circle. The circle, very important. That circle is important. The circle, number one. Number two, besides the circle, what else besides the circle? The circle, you come and you realize the paradigm shift. Paradigm shift, what happens here? Paradigm shift was from stagnation to continuity. Stagnation means what? You have, when it comes to stagnation, a number of dimensions of stagnation. For example, you might have what? Economic stagnation. Yeah? In Canada, you might have been hit with a few challenges or crises. You have in Detroit, where I'm from, Detroit went bankrupt. Houses were for $2,000. Houses were for $3,000. You can pick up a house for $3,000. Wait a few years, you sell it for $50,000. Economic stagnation. Yes. You have, for example, in 1873, you have that which they refer to as what? As the Long Depression. In the States, the Long Depression. What happened in the Long Depression? Banks were closed. Yes. Factories went out of business. Families didn't have food to eat. Long Depression. Or then you have the Great Depression in 1910. Great Depression, what happened? They say unemployment went down to 25%. Family income about $21,000. Global trade went down 60%. This is all what? Economic stagnation. When the economy becomes stagnant. This is what? Economic stagnation. And you know the effects of economic stagnation. When you yourself go through economic crisis, you know what happens in your household, in your lives, in your and your state, your emotional state, your psychological being. It gets affected. You have, for example, stagnation when it comes to water. Water stagnation. You'll see, for example, water stops flowing and it creates a very stagnant creek or a pond. And what happens? Filth starts to gather on it. Yes? If you recall in Houston, when the hurricane hit, Houston is known already to have an issue of what? An issue of mosquitoes and an issue of fire ants. However, when the water gathered and the hurricane started to evade, it started to create stagnant ponds, which were unbelievable environmental hazards. Why? Because it rose issues such as malaria, issues such as diseases such as chikungunya, or for example malaria, or for example West Nile virus. And the issue here was what? It became an area whereby mosquitoes would gather upon and fire ants would gather upon. Not only that, they would then travel, they would then migrate with this disease and spreading elsewhere. So here, what is the issue? The issue is that water became stagnant. It created diseases such as the West Nile, such as malaria, such as Zika, such as chikungunya, for example, yes, and so on and so forth. Diseases where it became an area which started to breed diseases, and those mosquitoes would travel and migrate with the diseases, and people would eventually get killed. So this is what? Economic stagnation, water stagnation. Now, if such effects can happen when the economy becomes stagnant, when water becomes stagnant, how about when a society becomes stagnant? What happens then? What happens when the societal stagnation starts to infiltrate through our lives? What happens then? West Nile? Forget West Nile. You say Alhamdulillah if there's West Nile at that level. If there's Zika, forget Zika. If there's banks and 60% global trade goes down, 21,000 income, 25% unemployment, that you'll thank Allah for it. Social stagnation. What happens when social stagnation takes place? Wahhabism takes place. Wahhabism is the Zika of social stagnation. It's the West Nile virus of... He comes and he tells you, don't give a flower to the sick person. Okay, Habibi, great point. But why? Because he'll think that the flower cured him and not Allah. Look at the stagnation. They like that one. The water, yes, the flower cured him and not Allah. Or for example, he tells you, this stick is greater than Rasulullah because Rasulullah is dead, but the stick keeps me going. He'll tell you verbatim, don't think. Verbatim. Don't use your brain. Take it literal. Kill them wherever you find them. Go kill them wherever you find them. وَسِعَتْ كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. There is a chair. God is sitting on a chair right now. He's there. He's sitting on a chair. One leg left, one leg right. And indeed we are walking in between going to Jannah or Jahannam. Yes? بِيَدِهِ الْمُلْكِ. In his hand is dominion. He has a hand. You tell him, but لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. There's nothing like him. Quran says there's nothing like him. Yeah. Maybe he has 6 fingers. Maybe there's 1 finger sticking out from here. Maybe the nail is on the knuckle and not on the finger. لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. Social stagnation. Wahhabism. Or look at the views that people live believing in. Yes. When culture prevails, when our personal beliefs prevails, social stagnation. What did the Prophet do when he entered Medina, brothers and sisters? He came to remove these social diseases that society had so strongly infiltrated into their characters and into their worldviews and hard-grained into their, wired into their minds. It was difficult. Some people he wasn't able to remove it from. Worshipping an idol. There would be some people, yes. Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, for example. Abu Dhar came, he says, I came to Islam because of the urine of the fox. Some people woke up. Some people didn't wake up. Abu Dhar woke up. Abu Dhar says, I came to Islam because of the urine of the fox. They told him, what do you mean urine of the fox? He says, one day, I went to my idol, I was giving it this milk. Giving my God milk. My God needed milk. You have until today. When the mouse comes, there's a celebration in the house. The mouse, Allah has come. Give him the food. Give him, yes. And he'll wash himself with the urine of the cow, for example. Allahu Akbar. Insan. Better than the angels, worse than the orangutan. Anyways, you'll notice that what tends to happen here is that indeed social stagnation at this level, what happens? He'll come and he'll say, I came to Islam because of the urine of the fox. Explain yourself, Abu Dhar, that there's no one more truthful under the sky than Abu Dhar. At one level, at one point, Abu Dhar was giving milk to an idol. So there's still hope. He came, he gave him the milk. The idol is there. He sees that a fox comes. Fox drinks from the milk, and you know when there's input, there's output. Fox turns around, yes, and relieves himself on the idol. He says, Abu Dhar, I woke up that day. I told myself, no way, it's never going to happen. Keep dreaming. That indeed, this kind of a discussion, he says that I am going to protect how is this idol going to protect myself when it can't protect me when it can't protect itself? How is that going to happen? It can't happen. It's wrong. He comes and he says, this idol can't protect itself. Yes? How is it going to protect Abu Dhar? There you realize he woke up from social stagnation. Some people don't wake up. Social stagnation, that's why I'm telling you, it's more effective and more detrimental and more dangerous and more terrifying than anything else. Serious stuff, man, serious stuff. Social stagnation, where do we find social stagnation? We find social stagnation, for example, in the time of our first Imam, when he comes and he says, announcement. What's announcement, mu'mineen, mu'minat? I have indeed what? I have to tell you that I am the speakable Quran. I tell you more of that which is in the skies than that which is in the earth. I know the pathways in the streets and avenues of the skies more than I know the pathways of the earth. They tell him, are you sure? He tells him, yeah, ask me anything. One man comes to him, he tells him, Ya Ali, how many pieces of hair in my beard? How many pieces of hair? He told him, you know what, I can tell you. I know how much pieces of hair on your beard, but I'm not going to tell you. But let me tell you something which might give you difficulty to sleep at night. Which is, there's a shaitan sitting on each one of your hairs. There's a nice little cute shaitan, little shaitani, sitting on your beard. And indeed, you have a goat in your house which will kill Imam al-Hussain, my son. That was Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, father of Umar. Umar ibn Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. He tells him, I can tell you, but there's a shaitan on each one of your beards, each one of your hairs, and you have a goat, a sakhla, in your house which will be the killer of my son Aba Abdullah on the 10th of Muharram. Social stagnation. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam would go into the midst of the night. He would plunge his fist into the earth. He speaks to the earth. They tell him, Ya Ali, what are you doing? You're bigger than speaking to the earth. Speak to us. Speak to Maytham. Speak to Miqdad. Speak to Salman. Speak to ISIA Ali. He tells them, I have here knowledge. I can't give it to anyone. I have secrets in this chest of mine. I can't give it to anyone. Hence, Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen comes and says, قَدْ مَلِئْتُمْ قَلْبِي قَيْحًا. You filled my heart with hate. Allahu Akbar. You think you have it tough? Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, one companion of Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he tells him, one companion comes to him and tells him, oh Imam, you taught me 70,000 secrets of this world and you promised that I can't teach it to anyone. He's telling him it's too difficult for me. Ibn Rasulullah. He tells him, what should I do? He says, do what I do. What do you do? He says, I go in the midst of the night. I speak to the earth. I tell the earth the secrets. Because there's no one above the earth worthy. Therefore I speak to those beneath the earth. This is who Imam Baqir alayhi salam. Social stagnation. Look in our communities. Look, read Surah Al-Hujurat. Recite Du'a Makarim Al-Akhlaq. Look at the social stagnation. Jealousy, greed, arrogance, hypocrisy. This is all what? This is all social stagnance. Elements which are creating chaos in our society without us even knowing it. I can't go into detail of the diseases that our youth are facing, for example. Our youth are facing. When it comes to our youth, you realize the issues that they're facing. And for example, where do I channel my desires? Yes, to whom do I speak to? I come to my mosque, I hear Maulana speaking of things which even the angels have difficulty understanding. Yes. What's happening? I don't wake up for Fajr, I'm coming to the mosque, I'm hearing my Maulana speak to me about Mullah Sadra and speaking to me about Ibn Arabi and speaking to me about how philosophy is haram in Islam. Ya akhi, I can't wake up for Subuh. I don't know how to do wudu properly. I don't know if Fajr, yes, when I miss one rak'ah, what do I do? When I miss one sujood, what do I do at that level? Mullah Sadra isn't going to teach me. Ibn Arabi isn't going to tell me what to do at that level. No, Maulana, what do I do? Hence, you see him going to the club, you see him going to the pub, you see him resorting to so many different kinds of things. Therefore, you notice this discussion of social stagnation. Paradigm paralysis. Paradigm paralysis happens when? Yes? What do we mean by paradigm paralysis? When you speak of paradigm paralysis, you're speaking of indeed things that make it difficult for us to change. See, because sometimes you know the truth, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you know the truth, but you can't change. Paradigm paralysis. Why? Because at this level, you realize that there are things stopping you. For example, as we mentioned, culture, dunya, yes, arrogance and conceit. Arrogance and conceit. You know what you know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Christians and the Jews? Because the Jews came and said what? The Jews came and said, by the way guys, we're the chosen ones. نحن شعب الله المختار. The buck stops here. Hey yo, Jesus, we're chosen. Religion is ours. The end is with us. Jesus, do you agree? Maulana, this is what we're going to do. Do you agree? Jesus tells him, sorry guys, I'm the prophet of God and I just wanted to let you know, we're not chosen. It's not us. يأتي من بعد نبي اسمه أحمد. There's a comforter coming. There's a man by the name of Ahmed, he's coming. It's not us guys. Jesus, you have one more chance, Jesus, don't blow it. Jesus, are we chosen or not? It's not us. Ahmed, there's a comforter. It's not me. I'm a baton. Yeah, I'm doing my job here. Jesus, one more chance. It's not us. They chase Jesus, Jesus runs. They take Jesus, they crucify him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes and says, وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ بَلْ رَفَعَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ. They didn't kill him, they didn't crucify him, it was made to appear so. Allah raised him. We're the chosen ones. Paradigm paralysis, it's not us. Wallah, it's not us. We're a piece of the puzzle. We're not the puzzle in its entirety. Islam, there's Islam. No, it's us. وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودُ وَالنَّصَارَى نَحْنُ أَبْنَاءُ اللَّهِ وَأَحِبَّاؤُهُ. Allah says the Jews and the Christians came and said, we are the sons of God and the beloved. Allah responds to them, قُلْ فَلِمَ يُعَذِّبُكُمْ بِذُنُوبِكُمْ. Why then does Allah punish you for your sins? No. نحن أبناء الله. We're the sons of God. Hussain ibn Allah. Isa ibn Allah. No, wait. لِمَ يُعَذِّبُكُمْ بِذُنُوبِكُمْ. Why does He punish you with your sins? If that's the case, why is He punishing you? There's something wrong there. No, نحن شعب الله. We're chosen. Our culture. But of course this has nothing to do with the majority of Khoja centers which put Khoja before Ithna Ashari. Anyways, that's a different discussion. Therefore you realize that indeed نحن شعب الله المختار. Yes. نحن شعب الله المختار. At this level what happens? Inshallah I get back to the US safely. He says نحن أبناء الله وأحباؤه. We're the sons of Allah and the chosen ones. It's not you. There's a Muhammad. There's a Mahdi. Which Mahdi? No, now. Yes, and that's why you realize that indeed this is when you have to go to the third point, which is the principle. Before we conclude, what is the principle to be taken? We looked at the paradigm, it's 4 P's. 4 P's. The paradigm, number 1. Number 2, the projection. Number 3, the principle. What is the principle here? Number 1, when you speak of the principle, you realize indeed Islam came forward with 5 sources to make a decision. To make, for example, a fiqhi decision or a moral decision, Islam gave you 5 sources. Number 1, Quran. Sunnis lack some of these. You have Quran, number 1, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 2, Al-Quran, Kitabullah. As-Sunnatun Nabawiyya. How does, for example, Ayatollah Sistani sit down and say, okay, well, it's acceptable for you to do this, it's haram for you to do that. How did he make that decision? He went through these 5 stages. Number 1, Quran. Number 2, As-Sunnatun Nabawiyya. Number 3 is what? Ijma', consensus. The majority, people play a role. Urf, for example, what the majority believe, this also plays a role. Number 3. Number 4, aql. Intellect. No other madhab in Islam has aql as one of the sources. Did you know that? It's usually the most common one. You would think it should be number 1 on the list. No one has it but us. Aql. This opened up the door of ijtihad. You notice we have this discussion of ijtihad, where things could evolve, things could adapt. Adapt, being a more safe word, things could adapt. When somebody, for example, comes and says, listen, can I have plastic surgery here? Listen, can I, for example, do this, that, and the other? When it comes to business, when it comes to commerce, when it comes to trade, when it comes to this, that, and the other, can I do this? Imam Ali didn't say nothing about this kind of stuff. Amir al-Mu'mineen didn't know, for example, this kind of pills that are going to come forward, or this kind of a scientific stem cell research, and for example, transgender. Imam Amir al-Mu'minin didn't say much about such things. There's a lot of things that the Imam didn't. What do we do at this level? Aql. Aql came and said, ijtihad, marji'. Yes. And there's ahadith that support the whole school and the whole idea of marji'i. And that's why, what do you notice there? You notice 5 sources. Aql. Aql. When I speak of a principle, what do I mean? Aql is what supports this discussion of continuity. If you say, where does Islam support this discussion of continuity? Are we not a stagnant ummah? Do we not just take content from the past and apply it? Yeah, well, even that application, as one would say, implies continuity. That application implies continuity. Aql. Yes. Number 4. Number 5, some ulama have included fitra. Al-fitratul ilahiyya al-insaniyya. The fitra. What is this fitra? This fitra, which is our nature. We have a divine nature to us. In any ways, and that's why you notice that the 5 principles are the first idea of the principle. Number 2 is this discussion of what? This discussion of the Quran. What does the Quran say about continuity? I mentioned the verse. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قُلْ إِنْ أَصْبَحَ مَاؤُكُمْ غَوْرًا فَمَنْ يَأْتِيكُمْ بِمَاءٍ مَعِينٍ. If your water becomes corrupt, who will come to you with flowing water? Look at the Quran, what it says. قُلْ إِنْ أَصْبَحَ مَاؤُكُمْ غَوْرًا فَمَنْ يَأْتِيكُمْ بِمَاءٍ مَعِينٍ. If your water becomes stagnant, who's going to bring you flowing water? This ahadith say is speaking of 12th Imam. When your society becomes stagnant, when your minds become stagnant, when your hearts become stagnant, when your worldviews become stagnant, مَنْ يَأْتِيكُمْ بِمَاءٍ مَعِينٍ. Who's going to come to you with flowing water? Number 1 verse. Number 2, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَأَنْ لَوْ استقاموا على طريقتي لأسقيناهم ماء غدقا. If they stayed firm on the path, we would have given them what? Flowing water. ماء غدقا. The Quran is supporting this discussion of continuity, progress. Keep going. Don't stop. Don't get conceited with what you have. That's why people come and tell you the best way to move forward and to have everything is to act as if you have nothing. You realize many people, they had this energy when they were children. They hit 50, even 40, some 30, become slow. As I reached, I made it. What is the discussion of I made it? There's no such thing as I've made it. You can never say in your life, I've made it. Allah says, kadih, istimrar, not jumud, not rukud, not asin. You know the Quran, when it speaks of the rivers in heaven, it says, ma'in ghayri asin. Water which isn't stagnant. Rivers of honey and milk and chai, khojati. It's flowing and there and the other. Yes. And it's there. What do you see? Ma'in ghayri asin. Water which isn't stagnant. It's not stagnant. Not rukud. These are all key terms which I don't have time. Rukud, which is like this idea of freezing. Jumud, solid, stone. I've made it. No. Kadih. Ma'in ma'in. Ma'an ghadaqa. Yes. When the Quran comes and says what? It comes in and says, Ya ayyuhal insan, innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadhan famulaqih. Oh human being, you're striving and struggling. A strong struggle till you meet me. Until you meet me. وَاعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. When Allah comes and says, worship your Lord until you attain certainty. That last verse of that chapter. What certainty? I've reached certainty, now I stop worshiping? No. Here certainty means death, because there's no certainty like death. As Imam Amir al-Mu'minin says, there's no certainty like death, and there is no certainty which has been more doubted than death. It's the peak of certainty, however it's been doubted like none other. We forget that it can come to us at any moment. And that's why, yes, the whole discussion we end here with the proposition. What was Hussein's proposition? Hussein's proposition at this level was indeed to live a life of continuity, to live a life of rotation, to live a life of not bypassing the scar, not giving the dragon a few bucks and going and getting that princess. No. Of slaying the dragon, of passing by the scar, of reliving the pain. I'm telling you, this is game-changing information. And that's why, yes, the Quran came in when it speaks about the giving of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it says, وَمَا كَانَ عَطَاءُ رَبِّكَ مَحْظُورًا. The giving of your Lord is uninterrupted. وَمَا كَانَ عَطَاءُ رَبِّكَ مَحْظُورًا. The giving of your Lord isn't interrupted. عَطَاءً غَيْرَ مَجْذُوذ. These verses are vital. A giving which is uninterrupted. This is the giving of Allah. When He speaks about what He's going to give, He doesn't say, I'm going to give you till you're satisfied. You see, Imam Hussain told Allah, take until you're satisfied. Allah doesn't say that. Allah says, I'll give you and just keep giving you. Until what? Until never. You just keep giving. And that's why indeed, inshallah, we'll lift off from this proposition in the upcoming nights and to see what this whole discussion of giving and this whole discussion of continuing the circle entails. However, there is no one who gave more emotions and indeed gave more sentiments and continued giving her love to Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam in Sham like that of Ruqayya bint al-Hussain alayhi salam. They say Ruqayya, who is different than Sukayna. Some have mixed Ruqayya to be a Sukayna. No, Sukayna lived a life of 75 years. Sukayna lived for 75 years. She was born on the 42nd after Hijrah. She dies on year 117 after Hijrah. 75 years. Ruqayya died in Sham. It is said that Ruqayya alayha salam, they would indeed come forward. She would say, where's my father? I just saw him in my dream. Bring me my father. Zainab tells her, your father is very far. Your father is, yes, on a journey. What should I do? Indeed, your father is on Safar and Ba'id. He's on a very distant journey. It is said that indeed she would start to cry. And Zainab, salamullahi alayha as well, would begin to cry and the ladies would raise their voices. However, Yazid wakes up from his sleep, which he, in God's will, we wish he never woke up from. He wakes up from his dream. And indeed, he says, what are these noises that I hear? They tell him, إِنَّ هَذِهِ بِنْتُ الْحُسَيْنِ تُرِيدُ أَن تَرَى أَبَاهَا. She wants to see her father, Imam al-Hussain. Is this the case? Yes. He says, take this to her. Ruqayya alayhi salam is sitting in the bazaar in Sham. And she sees about two men coming with a tray in their hand. Ruqayya alayhi salam turns to Zainab. She says, Zainab, I didn't request for any food. Why are they bringing me a food? Possibly it's a letter. Possibly it's a message. Possibly it's what? It's indeed a letter from Imam al-Hussain, my father. It is said that Ruqayya alayhi salam is sitting there. They bring her the tray. Ruqayya alayhi salam is sitting before the tray. She sees that there is a cover upon that which is beneath it. She removes the cover from the tray. She sees in the cover on the tray the bearded head of her father Hussain. Allahu Akbar, she sees the same ayah that would kiss her before she goes to sleep. The same ayah that would console her when she saw no hope. The same ayah that would tell her, Ruqayya, everything will be fine. You know those words when somebody tells you everything will be okay? Consoling words, yes? That would tell us, Ruqayya, such words. She sees that beheaded. What a sight for a daughter to see. She sees that bloody, the eyes bloodshot. She falls on the bed. She tells him, Aba ya Hussain, من لليتيمة حتى تكبر من للنساء الحارسات Father Hussain, who is there for the ladies to protect them. Father Hussain, who is there for the orphan when she gets older. Imam Zain al-Abidin and Zainab were standing there before her, yes. Imam al-Sajjad tells her, Amma Zainab, irfa' al-tifla an ra'si walidi. On Zainab, remove the daughter from the head of my father. It is said that Zainab tells him, why ya Zain al-Abidin? He says, because لقد ماتت الطفلة على رأس والدي. The child has died upon the head of Imam al-Hussein. They remove Ruqayya, Allahu Akbar, and they see that Ruqayya has died. They take the body of Ruqayya to the lady who is meant to wash the body, okay? They take that body, they begin to wash it. The lady washing the body starts to cry. They tell her, why do you cry? She says, indeed, because I see black and blue marks. This lady must be sick. Yes, I feel pain. Zainab then begins to cry. She tells her, Mawlati Zainab, why do you cry? She says, I cry because that isn't sickness. Those are the whips of Shimr. Those are the whips of Umar on the body of Ruqayya. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. 3 times, Amma Yujib, brothers and sisters. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma Yujibun. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء إلهي شافي كل مريض اقضي حوائج المحتاجين يسر أمورنا يا كريم عجل في فرج مولانا صاحب الزمان وذي سورة الفاتحة عندي صلوات